So apparently the answer to every criticism of the Odyssey is relax, it's just a myth. History doesn't matter, representation is more important. Trust Nolan, the actors are talented. Okay, let's test these arguments, because the question isn't whether someone can defend the casting choice, almost anything can be defended. The question is, are these arguments consistent when we apply them to other situations? Because if a principle only works when it benefits one side, then it's not really a principle. Looks more like a preference to me. This is probably the most repeated argument. Bro, the Odyssey has monsters, gods, and magic. It's not a documentary. Correct. Nobody thinks Cyclopses were real. But here's the problem. A myth is not created in a vacuum. The fact that a story contains fantasy does not mean the culture behind it disappears. The Odyssey is still a Greek epic. It comes from a specific civilization with specific ideas about kingship, honor, warfare, family, social status, identity, philosophy. Nobody thinks King Arthur is fictional, therefore make Camelot into a Japanese-looking castle and give him a samurai sword and call it Zangetsu. Nobody says that. Nobody thinks because Norse mythology has dragons, Vikings were actually black Rastafari. Fantasy does not erase origin. Now, if we go even further, there's also a different way to address this argument. While fantasy adaptations may have some more freedoms than other adaptations, even they have to stick to the continuity of the world. Fantasy does not only reflect on reality, but it expands it. Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Dune, all very big fantastical worlds with a wide range of species and races, and even they stick to the established world. Would there be a Black Maester in Westeros? Yes. Why? Because the Order of Maesters are an organization devoted to knowledge, scholarship, and advising, which is a position earned, not inherited. And the Citadel in Old Town is where Maesters are educated and then sent off to aid noble houses. Could there be a black half-elf in Middle-earth? Yes, but it'll probably be a rare sight. Why? Because elves are extremely arrogant and an isolated culture. Could there be a Black Helen of Troy? Yes, but only if she was a highborn, a princess from Egypt, or some mystical desert queen. So even in a fantasy setting, authenticity, logic, and reason within that established world need to make sense, right? Make it make sense, not just because representation matters.
Say hi, Daddy. Say hi, Daddy.
Hi, Daddy.
Whose goddamn white baby is that?
This is your baby, okay? He's just light-skinned.
That one might be mine. That one right there. I'm not totally sure. Just because you name him Darren don't mean he belonged to Darren. But I don't care what this baby's name is. This baby is rice-skinned, but not light-skinned. That is a white child. That is Caucasian from the mountains of Caucasus. That is a Slavic baby, a Viking from Iceland. That's a good... That baby got 730 as a credit rating right now as an infant. That's not my baby.
Or you could just say nah, like these two idiots who thought it was a good idea to throw out all established lore and logic and expect audiences to be pleased with what they call an ending. But at least even these two chuds were able to read the source material, which gave us the best 4 seasons of television ever. But as soon as they started writing their own shit, well, you know what happened.
You should consider yourself lucky. At least your balls won't freeze off.
You take great offense at dwarf jokes, but love telling eunuch jokes. Why is that?
Because I have balls, and you don't.
This is where things get interesting. The argument is, we cannot judge every casting decision the same way because history matters.
I think I can smell shite.
Oh boy. Okay. But then we have to ask, how exactly does this principle work? Because if historical group identity matters, where is the limit? Do we judge people individually? A son for his father's crimes?
But I will not punish a son for his father's sins. And I will not take a family home away from a family it has belonged to for centuries.
Slavic people get reparations from Arabs, South Africans and Scandinavians, and the Britons gotta pay everyone, especially the Indians, the Japanese, the Chinese and Koreans, or is it the other way around? How and where do we draw the line? Some might argue this isn't about equality, but equity.
Right.
Okay. If we're talking about equity, shouldn't equity actually reach the people who need the opportunity? Let's use Hollywood as an example. If the goal is to create more opportunities for black actors, why does the solution often involve already established stars? Why did Lupita took both roles, Helena and Clytemnestra, and didn't leave the role of her sister to another no-name black actress who nailed the part at the audition? Why not create new stars? Why not adapt African epics? Why not make the next generation of actors famous? A major Hollywood adaptation of the epic of Sundiata Keita, for example, could create opportunities for unknown actors, writers, directors, costume designers, historians, artists. That seems like a much deeper investment than just changing an existing famous character. Oh yeah, this is probably the easiest argument to make. Don't judge before seeing the movie. Nolan chooses actors because they are talented. Yes. And looking at the star-filled cast, I could almost believe that they all had to audition for the parts. Because I have some questions. Were these actors discovered through massive search? Were thousands of unknown performers given the chance? Or were just major roles simply offered to famous actors? One is, we searched for the best person. The other is, we selected someone already at the top. And there's nothing wrong with casting famous actors, even though I would argue having too many big stars breaks a bit immersion, because you're going, oh, Spider-Man, oh, Batman, oh, The Punisher. It almost feels like a Marvel movie, and oh shit, it also looks like one, except for the colors.
Serious?
Hollywood constantly casts famous actors, so let's be honest about what it is. It's not creating new opportunities, it's using existing success. Another argument. Ancient Greece wasn't some isolated white civilization. The Mediterranean was diverse. Again, true. The ancient Mediterranean was connected. Greeks traded with, fought with, and interacted with many cultures. But here's the part people skip. Ancient societies had hierarchy. A lot of hierarchy. Not everyone had the same status. Not everyone had the same access. Not everyone was viewed the same. A foreign merchant existing in Greece does not automatically mean every royal family, warrior class, or noble house reflected that diversity. The question isn't, did ancient Greece ever interact with other peoples? Yes, obviously. The question is, who realistically occupied these specific roles? Because the Odyssey is not about a random people in a port city. It's about kings, queens, heroes, and noble families.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
No, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Captain gives orders on the ship.
The captain of the ship is giving orders.
My ship makes me captain.
They be my charts.
That makes you chart man.
This is another uncomfortable historical fact. The Greeks often defined themselves in contrast to outsiders. To put it in modern terms, they were very xenophobic. Which, to be fair, at that time probably was more tribalism, which most ethnic groups practiced in some shape or form. The word barbarian itself was used to describe non-Greek speakers. Greek identity was important. Their civilization, their language, their customs, these things mattered. So when adapting a Greek epic, pretending the cultural identity of the world doesn't matter is strange. You can't say historical context matters when discussing modern politics, then suddenly historical context doesn't matter when discussing the actual historical culture that created the story. I mean, let's create a hypothetical. Imagine the Epic of Sundiata Keita having a cast of white actors. No Mali, no Ivory Coast or Senegal. Or let's just be more generous, okay? And just replace some major roles with white actors. Would you be fine with that? If not, then why should it be okay in the case of Homer's epic, The Odyssey? Here's my position. I don't believe every adaptation has to be a museum reconstruction. Art changes, stories evolve, creative freedom matters, yeah. But be honest about it and don't mask it as some progressive choice to uplift minorities. I swear, if you would have done a science fiction version of the Odyssey, casting authenticity wouldn't even be a discussion, because in a futuristic world it wouldn't make sense not to have a diverse cast. But I do believe arguments should be consistent. If your argument is merit matters more than appearance, fine, but apply it everywhere. If your argument is historical context matters, fine, apply that everywhere. If your argument is we need opportunities for underrepresented groups, then create fucking opportunities. Don't just rearrange the same Hollywood system and call it progress. Because the biggest question is not, can you change an existing story? Of course you can. The question is, are you actually expanding the world of storytelling, or are you just repainting the same walls and calling it renovation?
Aye, she's absolutely beautiful. Aye, totally up for shagging, you know. Shagging all night? Aye!
Shite. Oh yes, that's shite.
And that is why I think a lot of people are upset, skeptical, or simply annoyed. Not because they hate representation, but because the intellectual dishonesty around this discourse is exhausting and the misrepresentation of the actual criticism is being downplayed to racism and transphobia. Or it's just a myth. No, people are calling out the hypocrisy and are rightly questioning whether the industry is actually changing the foundation or just changing the appearance. Thank you if you watched this long. Oh my god, my voice is going out. Thank you if you watched this long. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, sub if you like, and see you in the next one.